my name is Carly Fries, and today is the last book-related video of the year, even though today's the 31st, this is probably going to be posted sometime next week, which will be in 2018. So yeah, I'm a little late probably, but I've been on vacation. It's been Christmas time. It's a little hectic, but I'm filming it before the end of the year, so that counts for something, doesn't it? I'm just going to be talking about the few books that I read in December, as well as just kind of wrapping up the year, some of my favorites of all the books that I read this year. And how many books did I read? I read exactly 70, which was my goal. I kind of like buckled down the last like 2 months and made sure that I reached my goal, because I've never not. There are only 3 new books that I read that I would like to talk about, and the first 2 are An Ember in the Ashes, as well as A Torch Against the Night by Sabaa Tahir. These 2 are part of a series of books that have yet to be finished, but the first 2 were already out, so I think I've had them in my possession for about a year. Just haven't read them. And they were on my to-be-read list of 2017, and I mean, I waited till the last second, that's for sure. But I did it, yay! So yeah, Torch Against the Night and An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir are about a girl whose family kind of gets torn apart by this war, and she runs off and joins these rebels in a mission to kind of overthrow the people who are in charge, and she goes undercover as a slave to get information for them, but in the process it turns out that, you know, there's a whole bunch of other stuff that's going on, and there's a kid there who is part of the like leading people, but he kind of hates his people, rightly so, and they kind of band together to figure out a way to, well, not really defeat them. At first it's really just about breaking her brother out of prison, but eventually it becomes a matter of kind of, you know, winning and like figuring out a way to get control of their lives again. And the series is really good, not only because the story, okay, well look, the story is, so I'm just trying to put my books down. The story is definitely compelling, but it's not like we haven't seen that before. The girl was like normal, then she becomes part of this revolution, and surprise, she has these super powers, which I'm not gonna get into. Yeah, there's, especially in the second book, there's a lot of like plot twists, like with magic and powers and stuff, that 4 out of 5 stars, which it definitely deserved. And yeah, really excited for the other books to come out in 2018. I think the next one is coming out. I hope the next one's coming out in 2018. The other book that I read this month is The Glass Spare by Lauren DeStefano, which I got in my November owl crate. Yeah. And I compared it to a poor man's Midas. One I read the description, because basically this book is about a girl. She's actually the daughter of like the king, and one day it turns out she can just turn things to stone. Not like concrete stone, but like stones, like emeralds and rubies and diamonds and stuff. And so that's why I said it's like a poor man's King Midas, because King Midas can turn things to gold. But technically it was pointed out to me that some stones can be worth more than gold, so it's not entirely true. I still think it's like a ripoff. But they do address it. They literally mention King Midas in here, so it's not like they're trying to be like, oh, never heard of someone turning things to stones before, you know, this is a brand new idea. No, they address it at least. And it wasn't the best book that I've ever read, but I was like interested in the characters, like the main character, as well as her family and the people that she meets on her journey to figure out what the hell this power is all about. It's definitely not a standalone. There's more coming. I'm excited for what's to come, because I want to know what's gonna happen, and that's how you know a book's not awful, because if it's like some 2-star and 3-star books, I'm like, oh, it's good, and I'll read the next one, but I don't really care. I do care to find out how this book is going to continue, so That's something. So yeah, that's it for the books that I read this month. Speaking of the books that I read this year, let me just pull up my Goodreads again, because it's been a year, I don't remember what I read. I'm kind of just going to maybe just recap my top 5, maybe? My top 5 books that I read in 2017. Should it be books that came out in 2017 as well? Or just books that I read? I think last year when I talked about my favorite books of 2016, it was just books that came out in 2016, which was more fair. So I think that's what I'll do. Because I did read A Court of Thorns and Roses and A Court of Mist and Fury. I did read those for the first time this year, and they would definitely be on my list if it was favorite books that I read. But I think I'm gonna limit it to 2017 books. That'll make it a little easier. Okay, now keep in mind, I did not read all of the super talked about books in 2017, so if a book that you really loved that came out this year isn't on this list, I probably didn't read it, or it almost made the cut. So maybe go check out my Goodreads page, which is linked down below, and you'll see if I read it this year or not. Or go back and rewatch my videos, that's probably longer, but. So number 5, as much as I didn't love this book as much as the first book in the series, it still was good. Like, there's no doubting that. And that is One Dark Throne by Kendra Blake, because it was still really good. Like, it gets a little complicated, it's like slower than the first book, but it was still like a 5-star book. Number 4 is, surprisingly, Generation 1 by Pittacus Lore, because it's like, the series, the original series, the Lorien Laces, it finished on a good note, and it really didn't need a spin-off series. But as soon as I found out this was gonna be a thing, I was so excited, because yeah, it doesn't need it, but like, it's a good story. It's well written, and the story can always continue, and it did. It's like a 1 year later type deal with new characters, some like very minor characters from the original series coming back. It's a story that doesn't necessarily need to be told, but like, it's cool that it is being told. Number 3 is a book that I didn't read too long ago, and I'm still having some feelings about, and that is They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. If you haven't read this, go out and get yourself a copy, or read it online if you want to, or get it from your local library. But I mean, the cover is just so cute, you just want to own it. Yeah, this is so sad. It's like, there's no happy ending. Like, there's just not. They both die at the end. Like, it's right there in the title. It's not gonna be a happy book. But just like, you know, going into The Fault in Our Stars, you know that's not gonna be happy, but you read it anyway, again and again and again. And I've only read this once, but that's because it was like a month ago. So I'm definitely gonna go back and read this maybe sometime this year, or another year, like 2019 or something, I don't know. But this is a book that it has become very, very, like, I appreciate Adam Silvera and what he does to readers. Let's leave it at that. Number 2 and number 1 are pretty obvious, because it's probably everyone else's number 2 and number 1. I'm gonna go out there and just let you know that, you know, like, it's probably the case. And, you know, as much as I'd like to be original, I also want to be honest. And my second favorite book of the year was A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas, because it's pretty self-explanatory. This is a good freaking book. It's a good freaking book series. So I read all 3 books in this trilogy around the same time, because I hadn't gotten around to it until then, and it's such a good series. Like, it is so well written, the characters are so compelling, like, it's up there on like best series of all time for me. So this book was the 3rd and final book in the trilogy, and it came out this year, so this is the one that's gonna be on my list. Honestly, all 3 books would be up here if I could have them. Like, no book is better than, well, I mean, I'm sure they're slightly better than others. Like, the 2nd book was probably my favorite in the series, but like, they're all so good. Finally, my favorite book of the year, no surprise there, is Lord of Shadows by Cassandra Clare. And it's It's a big ass book, but it could have been bigger and I would have been excited because I could read Cassie's stuff all day, every day. Like, I could go back and reread this entire series right now and not be mad about it, like the time that I'm losing to reading new books, because honestly, nothing's gonna be as good as her stuff, except Harry Potter. Harry Potter's better, but that's literally the only other series that I will say is better than Cassie's books. Yeah, so this was the continuation. It's the second book in the Dark Artifices series, which is yet another trilogy in the Shadowhunter Chronicles like collection, if you want to call it that. Yeah, it was super good. Like, I don't know how to describe, I just don't know how to like describe Cassie's books. Like, if you haven't read them, like, you just, it's kind of like Harry Potter to me. It's like just like something that's like, all the characters are good, the story is so good. It's like there's people who, like, there's death in it, there's like wars, there's love, there's just every element that you want in a story, it has it. But like, if you want to read this in 2018, I would say go right ahead, but you gotta read about 1 million books before you get to this one, so you're gonna get invested. But it's a book series that's worth getting invested in, like wasting hours and hours and days and like all of your life over, because this is really something special. Yeah, I think that's all that I wanted to talk about in this video. It's not to say that all the other books that I read were bad, it's just none of them really stood out as much as that one. Maybe a couple of them, but like not as much as those 5. Yeah, I actually don't think I'm going to be posting a January books that I read video, because I think I'm going back and rereading an old series, because there's a new book in that series that came out this year in 2017, and I haven't gotten around to reading it because I want to reread those books first, and I was like, it's gonna take so long. But honestly, I'm gonna use January and maybe a little bit of February to read those, and then the new book. So that being said, there will still be a book related video in January, don't you worry. It's going to be my 2018 to be read books, so look forward to that. But for now, that is all. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and comment down below what your favorite books that you read this year were, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I would really appreciate it. And yeah, as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!